The Last Word, Episode 16. The Demand for Justice, What Must Change? Intro. In the last episode, we explored the rise of a movement, the moment where individual stories became collective truth, where patterns became undeniable, and where the system began to feel pressure from more than one direction. But momentum alone isn't enough. At some point, the truth demands something more. It demands justice. It demands accountability. It demands change. This episode is about the demand, what must change, why it must change, and how the system can no longer hide from the consequences of its own actions. Section 1. Justice isn't just about one case. When you've lived through what I lived through, the misrepresentations, the unlawful charges, the emotional harm, the institutional failures, it's natural to want justice for your own family. But justice isn't just about one case. Justice is about preventing this from happening again, exposing the truth, holding institutions accountable, protecting vulnerable families, restoring trust in public bodies. Justice is not backward-looking. It's forward-looking. It's about ensuring that the next family doesn't have to fight the same battle. Section 2. What went wrong? A systemic failure. To demand justice, you first have to understand the scale of the failure. And the failure wasn't just Cornwall Council. It wasn't just one department. It wasn't just one decision. It was systemic. A system where councils misrepresented the law. Oversight bodies refused to investigate. The police misclassified criminal offences. Action fraud filtered out public sector wrongdoing. The ombudsman avoided systemic cases. Families were pressured into unlawful charges. Vulnerable people were financially exploited. This wasn't a mistake. It was a structure. A structure that allowed unlawful practices to continue for years. And structures don't collapse on their own. They have to be dismantled. Section 3. What must change? The core demands. A movement becomes powerful when it knows what it wants. And the demand for justice in cases like mine and Andy's is clear. 1. Proper investigation of public sector fraud. The police must stop dismissing unlawful charging as civil. Fraud by false representation is a criminal offence, even when committed by a public authority. 2. Reform of the ombudsman system. The LGSCO must be empowered and required to investigate systemic issues, not just minor service failures. 3. Transparency in care funding decisions. Families must have access to full assessments, internal notes, and legal justifications, not selective summaries. 4. Clear separation between social care and nursing care. Councils must not be allowed to reclassify medical needs as social care to generate revenue. 5. Legal accountability for misuse of property cautions. No council should ever again use a caution to secure a civil debt. It is unlawful. It is coercive. It is abusive. 6. National oversight of continuing healthcare. Local authorities cannot be allowed to interpret the law differently in different regions. The law must be applied consistently, transparently, and lawfully. These aren't abstract reforms. They are essential protections. Section 4. Why change is resisted. Institutions resist change for predictable reasons. Financial pressure, unlawful charging generates revenue. Reputational risk, admitting wrongdoing exposes years of failures. Political sensitivity, public sector fraud is embarrassing. Cultural defensiveness, councils protect themselves, not the public. Lack of oversight, no one forces them to change. But resistance doesn't mean change is impossible. It means change is necessary. And the more people speak out, the harder resistance becomes. Section 5. The role of public pressure. Public pressure is the most powerful force in a democracy. It can force investigations, trigger reviews, expose misconduct, change policy, reshape institutions, protect families. And public pressure begins with stories. Stories like mine. Stories like Andy's. Stories from families across the country. When those stories come together, they create something institutions cannot ignore. A demand for justice. A demand that grows louder every time another family speaks. Section 6, the moral imperative. At the heart of this fight is something deeper than law, policy, or procedure. It's morality. It's the simple truth that vulnerable people should not be exploited. Grieving families should not be pressured. Public bodies should not misrepresent the law. Oversight bodies should not ignore wrongdoing. Justice should not depend on who shouts the loudest. This isn't just a legal issue. It's a moral one. And moral issues demand moral courage. Section 7, the path forward. The demand for justice is not a single action. It's a process. A process that includes exposing the truth, supporting other victims, documenting patterns, challenging institutions, demanding reform, refusing to be silenced. And that process is already underway. Because once the truth is out, it cannot be put back in the box. The system can delay. It can deflect. It can resist. But it cannot erase the truth. And it cannot stop a movement built on evidence, solidarity, and determination. Closing. In the next episode, I'll take you into the final phase of this journey, the pursuit of accountability, the potential outcomes, and what justice might look like for families across the country. This is where the fight becomes a blueprint for change. This is where the system faces consequences. And this is where hope begins to take shape. Episode 17 is where we explore what justice could finally mean.